Hello, gamescom. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for coming out to join us today. It's going to be an amazing time together talking about the systems and features of Midnight. I'm Hazzikostas, Game Director on World of Warcraft.
And my name is Paul Kubit, Associate Game Director, also on World of Warcraft.
Let me give you a quick rundown of what we're going to talk about in the next 30 minutes. So first off, thank you for your patience over the course of the past week as we've tried to get out all the information about what we're doing in Midnight. Today, we're going to talk about the new Demon Hunter specialization that's coming, new talents, what you're going to earn on the way to level 90, how the prey system is going to work, but also some new aspects of world content specific to each of the zones of Midnight. We're going to talk about how the leveling experience is going to work and what's in store for new and returning players. Got some updates for the PvPers in the house, and a range of quality of life updates, including some UI improvements. One thing we're not going to talk about a lot today is our housing system. We have a lot of information out about housing. It's been amazing seeing thousands of you check out the demo hands-on over the last few days. We can't wait for everyone to get their hands on this later this year. And that's right, later this year. In our 11.2.7 patch, at the end of War Within, the housing system is going to roll out. Anyone who owns Midnight at that point can claim their home and start decorating it. But everyone who is playing WoW, even if you don't own Midnight yet, can start collecting your decor and getting ready for the expansion ahead. Without further ado, let me hand it over to Paul to talk about the next few items.
All right, keep your eyes and ears peeled. We got a lot of new information coming out today. We're going to dive pretty deep into the systems and features, starting with this fella back behind me. That's right, the Devourer Demon Hunter. Now, you've seen Havoc, you've seen Vengeance. Now it's time to meet the new Demon Hunter spec that turns every fight into a highlight reel. The Devourer is our third Demon Hunter spec. It's a little bit different than our other two specializations. Previously, Demon Hunters only channeled Fel energy to power their abilities, whereas the Devourer uses Cosmic Void powers to power their Annihilation abilities. It's a ranged DPS spec, but not in a traditional sense. You're not going to be standing out at max range, casting spells the entire time. Depending on how you build your character, and we'll take a look at some talents a little bit later, but depending on how you build it, you may be standing at mid-range pretty consistently, or you may be darting in and out in sort of a hybrid build where you're spending some time in melee and then using Vengeful Retreat to jump back. Let's break down the toolkit a little bit. So first up, this is Void Metamorphosis. This is your iconic Demon Hunter transformation, but with a twist. This is not cooldown based, it's energy based. You have to use Reap, which is your giant kind of scythe attack, to gather up any of the void fragments that you can't reach, or you can just sort of run around and pick them up as you're used to doing with souls. And once you've gathered enough, you can enter into meta. Now, once you're in meta, you want to stay in meta as long as possible. Void energy is a little bit different than Fel energy. It's slippery, it's elusive, it wants to get away from you, and you need to devour it. You need to pull it in as much as you can. So you want to stay in this meta as long as possible, and the longer you do, the more damage you'll do as well. I'll share how in just a slide or two. In this shot, you will see Void Ray. This is the Void's interpretation of I-Beam. It's a 25-yard line attack with all sort of the trademarks of I-Beam, where you have the rotation, you can move around, just line up all your abilities and turn them into piles of ash. It's beautiful, it's purple. Important note, when you're in Devourer spec, everything is gonna be purple. Our art team did just a killer job, as they always do, to take everything. You're not gonna see any green at all. It's just gonna be void, void, void. Really cool. Speaking of really cool, this is Collapsing Star. This is your big, brutal anime finisher. The way this ability works is you have to be in meta to cast it. So once you get into meta, then you have you unlock the ability to cast Collapsing Star. The more times you cast Collapsing Star in a meta, the stronger and stronger it gets. So like I said, that you want to hold on to that metamorphosis as long as possible. It's got that big raid boss finale energy. Next up, let's talk about hero talents. The Demon Hunter is getting a new spec, and with that, they get a new hero talent tree, and that is called the Annihilator tree. You can see it in the sort of the lower left-hand side there. This is shared between Devourer and Vengeance, and sort of broadly speaking, this is all about dropping meteors on your enemies. If you're Devourer, there will be big, bold void meteors. If you're in Vengeance, they will be fell meteors, but meteors nevertheless. Devourer will also have access to the Scarred tree. No longer is it called the Fell Scarred tree, it's just simply Scarred. We are inclusive of all types of scarring here. As Demon Hunters, we know we are our scars, that's right. All right, let's move on. Next up, Void Elf Demon Hunter. This is a new race class combination that is coming to World of Warcraft. It's unlockable with a short quest line that's available during the 12.0 pre-launch. The Devourer spec will also be available during pre-launch as well. So if you're interested in messing around with Devourer, you can switch over as soon as we get to that pre-launch period before we take the fight to Xalatath at Silver Moon and in Eversong. And the same is true of Void Elf Demon Hunter. There'll be a very short quest line along with that pre-launch where you unlock this character. Now, for those of you who are Horde players in the audience, like myself, you may have noticed this introduces a little bit of an imbalance. The Void Elves are ready to jump into a particular new class, and this is particularly lore appropriate for what we're doing at this time. The Worldsoul Saga is not over yet. There will be new opportunities for other race class combinations that will make sense with the story as we tell it. So keep your eyes peeled. Next up, let's talk about talents. So as you play in Midnight, you're going to get new levels. No big surprise there. You'll level from 80 to 90, and you'll get 10 new talent points as well. The way those are going to break it down is you're going to get 3 points in your class tree, 3 in your hero tree, and then 4 in your spec tree. And you'll earn those sort of alternatingly. The way these work individually is on the class tree, it's very simple. You just got 3 more points. You can use them however you want. If there's some ability in there that you wanted to get to, but you couldn't quite reach it, or you had to make a painful trade-off to get to that point, well, now you might be a little bit more likely to be able to get to that point, and you won't have to make that painful trade-off. In the hero talent tree, there's an additional lane. So we're keeping all the same hero talents, but we're adding 3 new abilities in that 4th lane there. So it's going to take these already iconic and impactful powers and make them even more iconic and even more impactful. And lastly is on the spec tree, we earned 4 points here. I'll share how that goes in the next slide, but a couple clarifications first. What you see behind me is the example for the Devourer Demon Hunter. Everything I'm saying here is true for all 40 specs across the game, so the 334 applies to everybody. And the other clarification is you see 3 little dots over to the side of the tree there for those keen-eyed among you. That's just work in progress UI that our team's been using to be able to test these things along the way. What you'd expect this to look like is a little bit more like this, where you'd have, imagine, if you will, a big, giant talent point that sits at the bottom of your spec tree with a couple little pips in the bottom of it, and you're able to put 4 points into that. Now, all 4 points should be really impactful, but particularly impactful will be the first one and the last one. So let's take a look at a couple examples of how this will play out on the Evoker, and also on our favorite new spec, the Devourer Demon Hunter. So the first point is going to be a little bit more transformational. This will have a big effect on one of your abilities. In this case, for the Preservation Evoker, I know the text's a little small, but it takes reversion and gives it a chance to be upgraded to a new ability called Marithra's Blessing. The next 2 points are just going to make numbers bigger. They're going to make whatever that first thing did, make it even better. And then that last point is the exclamation point that really brings it all home. They should all fit together into a cohesive package. They share the icon, they share the name, they share the fantasy. But an important point to note is that you don't have to put all 4 points in this if you want to. It's not a separate tree. It is part of your spec tree. And so if you want to just go more broad in your spec tree too, there will be opportunities for you to do that. But I expect a lot of people are going to want to check out what's in their Apex talents because they are super duper cool. That's it for talents. Next, I'm going to talk about a feature we've been working on and talking about a bit this week. It's called Prey. So Prey is a new opt-in hunting system that lets you pursue powerful targets across Azeroth and beyond Azeroth, places like the Voidstorm, etc. It's built to slot right into how you already play. So whether you're a World Quest enjoyer, if you're out gathering, you just like hanging out, Prey should have a good fit for you. It's a little story balance, or a story background, I should say. This is a secretive initiative led by Astalor Bloodsworn. I don't know how many of you are lore nerds like myself out there, but if you remember Astalor, he's the Magister who's responsible for, helping the Blood Elf Blood Knights get their paladin powers by chaining up a Naru underneath Silver Moon City. He's not doing that anymore, but he's still sort of got a checkered past, and so he's going to be the person who is going to be leading us along this fight. You kick things off in Silver Moon City in Murder Row. That's where your new hub is. And this is where you're going to choose who you're going to hunt. Now, how's that going to play out? Well, let's see an example. You might be out in the world fighting an unassuming pangolin, casting Roll the Bones like you do, when all of a sudden your target might show up behind you and cause you to turn around, blow all your cooldowns, make sure you survive. You might be mid-quest, you might be running between objectives, you could be minding your own business. But the point is, this is supposed to be unpredictable. It's supposed to keep you on your toes. This is sort of like a quest. It uses some tech that uses quests, but it's not meant to be like, search 8 footprints and then you found him. We don't know how many things you have to do. You might be finding clues like footprints on the ground. You might be disarming traps. You might be doing other things, but you never really know when these guys are going to show up. Now, if you are the type of player who likes to play with a little bit of a challenge, Prey has you in mind as well. See, there's 3 difficulty levels. There's normal, and then there's hard, and then there's nightmare. And you're going to unlock this as you progress through the system. We all start at normal. But once you get to hard and nightmare, you're going to face a couple different things. First, you're going to see torments. These are additional abilities that these enemies will have, or just you might face as you're on the hunt for these guys. This particular character behind me is struggling to deal with sort of a fear-based torment, but there will be a bunch of them. There's some fixate-based ones as well. There's some really cool mechanics that'll make these fights a little bit more challenging. In addition, once you're in hard or nightmare difficulty, you are going to have that final fight. Once you've cornered your target and are ready to take them down, that will be a one-on-one fight. See, in normal, you're in the outdoor world. If there's other players nearby, they can help you out, just like any outdoor content. But in hard and nightmare, it's just one-on-one, you and the target, no distractions, no escape. Let's talk about rewards. So there's a couple rewards available through Prey. First, I want to talk about cosmetics. We got a bunch of custom cosmetics, including some really cool looking mounts, like some Mana Worm themed mounts, more than one of those. They're really awesome looking, as well as some Transmog appearances as well. You will also be able to earn power from this. So this is hot off the presses. We've been talking with the team back in California, or back in the States, everywhere. Blizzard's all over the place. This will give you power rewards. Prey will be tied into the outdoor row in the Great Vault, so you'll be able to get really cool gear from that by participating in Prey, up to and including in Hero Tier. So this is just going to give you new ways to play. Think about Delves and how Delves are able to give solo players some really cool opportunities to get awesome stuff. Prey is another way to do that too. All right, Prey is just one of the new things that are going to go into the outdoor world that we can play around with. There's other outdoor features that go into the game as well. When I say outdoor features, I'm talking about, the one-off things that happen in the game every once in a while, things like shipping and handling in Undermine, where you're driving your car around, the soup event in Azure Span, which we all remember and love so much, yes, chef, etc. We made a bunch of these. I'm going to go through a couple of them. The priority here in the philosophy is we wanted to provide a variety of these different things. They should not all feel the same. Some might be built for players who are more into kind of high-intensity combat. Others for more just like crazy moments. Others for folks who are like to, cozy content, to learn more about the lore, etc. First up is Silver Moon Court. This is what you're going to see in Eversong Woods. You'll balance your reputation between the 4 different military groups within Silver Moon City. It's meant to sort of evoke the feelings of the Burning Crusade reputations. You all remember the Aldor and Scryers from there? Yes, I see some nodding of heads. Okay, yeah, so it'll feel a little bit like that. And each track has its own cosmetic rewards that come from it. In Zulaman, you will harvest materials for the Loa of Abundance. This is a fast-paced, super buffed collectathon. It's professions themed. You're going to go into caves. You're going to have sort of a timed treasure room feel where you're going to mine as much as you can. You're going to gather as much treasure as you can. It's professions themed. It's not professions required, so anybody can gather these materials. Although if you are a gatherer, you might find a couple additional bonuses. I should point out that the Loa theming ties this one to Zulaman, but Abundance Caves are actually present in all 4 of the Midnight Zones. These are really fun. Looking forward to playing these. Legends of the Heronir is an event that happens in Herondar, and this is an event that invites players to step into the forgotten past of the Harati tribe using magical paintings to embark on bite-sized, lore-rich journeys. This is designed for those devoted lore seekers. You can kind of chase right through these things and complete the objectives as quickly as you want, but there's also lots of opportunities for you to slow down a little bit, read a little bit of text about the past of these folks, discover some lore objects, poke around, learn some history. Really cool stuff. And lastly, in Voidstorm, we have the Stormarian Assault. You're going to be protecting the Void Elves, who are going to play an important part in the story of Voidstorm. as they activate their singularity anchor. You all know what a singularity anchor is, right? No? It's the thing that you use to purge the Stormarian citadel of remnant void anomalies. Well, anyhow, you're going to help them protect that thing in sort of a wave defense, where it's an action-packed public event where your success is not only defined by how well you fight, but also how well your group places defenses to fend off the endless oncoming waves that are going to attack that singularity anchor. Okay, switching things up a bit, let's move on to updated leveling experience. I got to imagine that a lot of you folks here already play World of Warcraft. A lot of folks watching at home probably do as well. But if you don't, pay attention. And if you do, maybe think about if there's been folks that you want to bring into World of Warcraft, but it's been tough. It's intimidating to get people into a game that's been around for 20 years and is so big and huge and monolithic. These are some updates for folks like that. So first, we've made some changes to our tutorial experience, Exile's Reach. This has been changed to be to focus players directly into the Dragonflight expansion. We're doing that by adding some key iconic characters to that feature. You're going to see Wrathion there. You'll see Khadgar, Alexstrasza, a bunch of others as well. And the story is going to be about them going off and embarking on their mission to the Dragon Isles to learn about the history of the dragons. It will culminate with you being taken directly to Waking Shores to continue that story in the Dragonflight experience for new players. Now, you'll still have Chromie time if you're playing an alt. You can go play whatever expansion you want, but for a new player, that sort of core progression will take you directly to Dragonflight. And we've made a bunch of changes to the Dragonflight expansion as well with new players in mind. So first, you'll level through those first 4 zones. But then, as opposed to before, when you get to the end of Thaldraszus and you're at the gates of the raid and you know that Raszageth is gnarly and you want to take the fight to her, but you need a whole bunch of people to do that, instead of that, you're going to go straight to fighting Raszageth. We've added a story mode raid version of the Raszageth fight. So you can, as a solo player, along with 9 game-controlled allies, take down Raszageth, see how that story resolves. And then after that, it keeps going. You get to keep going into Zeralek Caverns, play through that zone as a leveling player with the leveling appropriate rewards, and then you get to fight against Sarkareth in another story mode raid. Y'all can probably see where this is going. If you know the story of Dragonflight, then you continue into the Emerald Dream and then fight against Farak. We're super excited about this. This is the first time that new players have been able to play through the entire story of an expansion while they're leveling through the game. And doing that, this will take them to level 70. That's not quite 80. For 70 to 80 is going to be done doing something different, which I'll get to in just a sec. But first, has this ever been you? Maybe you're a returning player to the game, you haven't played in a little while, and you are greeted by the 3 horsemen of a quest log full of quests that you don't remember, a bag full of items that you don't remember ever gathering, and then a talent tree full of talents that you don't really know what those icons represent. You are not alone. This is the case for a lot of returning players. It can be tough to get back into your character after you've been away for a little while. And what we see for folks is, after folks have been away, particularly for a long time, it's easier to roll a new character than it is to get back into your beloved favorite tune. And so that's okay, because we've got a stack of gear ready for you to claim as you step into our brand new returning player experience. This is, again, brand new, something we just added to the game in Midnight. It is a feature where you will join alongside Thrall or Jaina as a returning player, and it's meant to remove all those distractions, so you don't have to worry about what's in your bags and your talents. We're going to hide all your quests from you. It's really simple. It's just, hey, go kill some gnolls. It's very simple. You don't have to worry about all the other direct things pulling you in different directions. Just go kill some gnolls, and then after that, the story will develop. Maybe you go kill some ogres. Maybe you go kill some cultists. There will be some story that progresses along. But the point is, once you get in, you should remember, oh yeah, this is how my character plays. And by the time you're done, you should have your bearings. It's drop in and drop out. So after 2 minutes, if you're like, oh yeah, I remember how to play Paladin. This is easy. Then you could just drop right out. If you play all the way through, you'll get a full set of gear that's level appropriate to whatever level you stepped in this place at. So you'll be ready to just jump right into the fight. And we've also added some improvements to the tutorials as well. So first, we've added a skywriting tutorial, which will make it easy. If you never learned how to play skywriting or to do skywriting, dragon writing as it was called back in the Dragonflight expansion, you'll learn how to do that. And it'll add a tutorial to learn how to interrupt. So if you've ever been in a group with folks who don't seem to know how to interrupt, the returning player experience will get you covered there as well. And lastly, we have the War Within recap. This is a feature we've added that in case you've missed the War Within expansion, or if just parts of the story, maybe it's just been a little while since you played the War Within, no worries, we've got you covered there as well. So this is a quick, couple hours long experience which will take you through the entirety of the story of the War Within. It starts at the Isle of Dorn, the Ringing Deeps, all the way through Koresh. And you'll get to see all the big cinematics. You'll get to see what happens with all the characters. It would normally take a couple dozen hours to play through all these quests, but this will just take a much quicker time. Anybody can play this. If you want to do this right before you go into midnight to bring yourself current, that's great. If you don't want to, that's fine. Everybody gets that we got to fight Xal'atath anyways. And if you're a new player, this is how you will level from 70 to 80. Instead of having to, it'll be really quick. It'll be just like play through this, again, a couple hours long experience, and you'll be able to hop right into midnight once you're ready. A new update I wanted to share with y'all about the new player experience, all these things that we're talking about, new player experience, returning player experience, and the War Within recap. These are going to be available in the final patch of the War Within, 11.2.7. So a little bit earlier, folks wanted to start getting warmed up. If you are thinking about that friend that you wanted to invite in, maybe they can get in a little bit earlier, start collecting some housing decor, and level a new character. Okay, that does it for me. Next, I'm going to hand things over to Ian, who's going to talk to you about a couple other features, starting with PvP. Ian, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Hello again. So yes, PvP. A major new PvP feature coming in Midnight is the Slayer's Rise Battleground. This battleground is set in the Voidstorm, and it is a 40v40 epic battleground inspired by Alterac Valley, Isle of Conquest, and that general large-scale vibe. Here's a look at the overall layout of the map and how it's going to work. So the setting for this map is a conflict between these two powerful warlords in the Voidstorm, these Dominar, that are fighting for control, and Alliance and Horde forces find themselves thrust into the middle of the conflict, each allied with one of the opposing Dominar. You're going to start on opposing sides of the map, initially run to the middle for a wild 40v40 brawl over an initial control point that will give you an early advantage in the map. We know people are going to fight it out anyway, so let's encourage it and build that into the flow. From there, it breaks down into each side trying to push down a lane towards the opposing base, destroying their defenses, killing key NPCs along the way, and ultimately trying to defeat the opposing Dominar. But you'll be breaking off as well to recruit neutral forces to aid your side to help push that lane. So every side is going to be doing a mix of attacking, defending, and recruiting forces to help lead their side to victory. Super excited to have a new battleground coming in Midnight. And also, this area that's used as a battleground will be accessible in the outdoor part of the Voidstorm zone. And this is going to be a place for those of you who love world PvP to come battle it out with each other. This area is really designed with interesting points of conflict in mind. There's other, this is where you'll find your PvP vendors and more. This area does have regular world quests for those who don't have War Mode on, but really you're going to want to turn on War Mode to get the most out of this experience. If you like world PvP, this is the place to be. You can find your people and battle it out. Now, when we think about PvP in World of Warcraft, we've heard feedback from our PvP community over the years that they'd love to see more support. PvP is amazing, it's deep, it is endlessly replayable, but the reality is it can also be really hard to approach 20 years into the game's history. There's so much to learn, people are so good at it, and oftentimes people check out PvP and feel like, okay, I just got destroyed, I don't know that this is for me, even if they do enjoy PvP in other games. But so many other games of different genres have a mode where you can initially kind of learn the maps, learn the rules, learn combat against bots. And that's an easy on-ramp to kind of build your confidence to make sure that you know what you're doing before you match up against other players. And so that's what training grounds are coming in Midnight. And this is inspired by a battleground brawl that we've had running for a while called Comp Stomp. This is kind of expanded and revamped. In addition to Arathi Basin, you'll also be able to play on Silver Shard Mines and the Battle for Gilneas, facing off against AI opponents that are a bit smarter than the bots that we've had in the past, that are going to test your skills a bit, teach you how the battlegrounds work, teach you how opposing classes work, and kind of give you an on-ramp into PvP from there. Super excited to roll this out in Midnight and hopefully introduce a new generation of players to the fun that World of Warcraft PvP can offer. All right, I want to talk about some UI and general quality of life improvements. So over the last few months, we've been doing a lot of work in War Within to improve the baseline UI experience with things like the cooldown manager, combat assistant, and more. That's going to continue in Midnight and beyond. One area that we want to focus on is our nameplates. We understand that when you're in the heat of combat, this is the best window into what's going on, the status of your enemies, and what you need to respond to. And our default nameplates currently don't give you all the information you might want. We really want to improve your ability to see and customize buff and debuff display on nameplates. We also want to be able to call out important lethal casts. That's something that we're going to build in on the encounter design side. If there's a cast that probably is going to wipe you if it gets off, that should be a larger highlighted cast bar so you know it's a high priority interrupt. You shouldn't need an add-on or an external guide to tell you that. The game should be doing it itself, and we're really excited to add this functionality to our nameplates. Next up, damage meters. We are adding damage meters to the base UI experience. Again, this is probably the single most popular add-on used by players across all of World of Warcraft. And you shouldn't need to feel like if you want to understand whether your talent build that you just tried out is more effective than the one you were using yesterday, you shouldn't need an external tool for that. The game should give you that information. And so we have fully featured damage meters. These are also going to be sort of server-side authoritative. So compared to add-ons where maybe someone is out of range or in a different phase and you lose track of the information about what they're doing, here we're going to keep track of it on our end, and so they should always be perfectly accurate. Next up, this is a fun one. How many of you use DBM or bigwigs? Right? Basically, since the beginning of raiding, 20 years ago plus, people have relied on add-ons to let them know when a major boss ability is coming up. That's just how WoW raiding has been for nearly everyone who raids. And yet, again, you've had to turn to external tools to do that, and we feel that's not the experience that our players deserve. So we are building in a lot of that functionality into our encounters in Midnight. So you can see a timeline of major critical abilities that are coming up, and alerts if you're targeted by something, things along those lines, to give you the information you need to overcome the challenges that are facing you. Those are just a few of the user interface improvements that are coming in Midnight. There are going to be many more at launch and to follow. This is a project that has a long future ahead of it. We really want to make sure that our base user experience is the very best that it can be. Transmog. Really, Transmog, as the true WoW aficionados know, is the real endgame of World of Warcraft. We want to make sure we are supporting it as best we can. So nearly 15 years after the introduction of Transmog, we have coming up an overhaul to how the system works. No longer will you have to go reapply the appearance of your choice every time you get a new upgrade, every time you get a quest reward or a raid drop or whatever else. Instead of transmogging items, you will now transmog the slot. And so if you have something set as your helm appearance and you get a new helm, it's just going to inherit the look that you want it to have. You'll still pay a gold cost to set that like head slot or back slot appearance, but as you just get new items, you can just put those on, there's no additional cost, and that'll just be the appearance that you have. But this also gives us the opportunity to add more opportunities for customization and self-expression in the transmog system. Because not only can you save one outfit, you'll be able to unlock and save many, many outfits. And then, if you want, you can tie those outfits to specific situations. So if you want one outfit that enables when you go into town, or when you go into your home, or when you go into a dungeon, or when you change your specialization, you can map those things to each other, and it'll just automatically happen. So we're very excited for kind of the depth of customization this is going to bring. And as with many of our systems, this is just kind of the beginning. This is Transmog 2.0, but we're going to continue to build on this foundation in the months and years ahead. So thank you for coming out. Speaking of the months and years ahead, really, it's so exciting to be here this week, finally pulling back the curtain, revealing what the team has been hard at work on in making World of Warcraft Midnight. But this is just the beginning. We're going to head back to California, and in just a few weeks, we're going to have our alpha test beginning. So stay tuned for that with beta to follow. We have so much more to share with you. It's going to be a very exciting fall. We can't wait to see you all in midnight in early 2026. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of Gamescom.